now that I have this system where I can just look at it visually and just quickly be able to determine, like before I had that, it was just like, well, do I stay in or do I not stay in? Do I put in a hard stop? Or do like this makes it clear cut for me. I can easily say, Khris, you need to get out. They cross down, and we'll get back in whenever they cross back up.
Hey folks, it's Jeremy Whaley here from Trade Maestro, and recently I had the opportunity to sit down with a longtime client, Khris Williams. Now, as I said, Khris has been a student for a long time, but just recently he engaged with me about private coaching, specifically because he wanted to improve his results and because he had some money that he was looking at managing and he just wanted to have an extra peace of mind. Well, after several weeks, Khris is getting great results, and I'm excited to have him share his own trading journey in his own words. Here's Khris. Well, thank you, Khris, for being here and sharing with me and our audience about your trading journey. I am excited to hear what you had to say. And let's just kick it off with where you were when we started working together.
I was frustrated with my trading because I had an understanding of technical analysis. I could pick a trend and say what direction it was going in, whether it's up, down, or sideways. And I had a number of tools and strategies that I could use, but I was losing on a lot, and I was losing chunks of money on a lot, and it rattled my confidence. And that's when I wanted to reach back out to you for coaching.
So when you were doing those trades, what do you think was the thing that was sabotaging your experience?
One of the biggest things that sabotaged me was my position sizing. And so since we've been working together in these sessions here, it's brought a lot of awareness to that, as well as getting into a trade where it technically was not with the trend, even though in my eyes I thought it may have been a good trade. But a lot of the tools that you've exposed me to with the moving averages and the JMAC and the crescendo, is very easy now to see the direction that the trade is going in, and even where I should enter and exit the trade just based on the new visuals that I did not have before.
Yeah, and that's a major piece that we worked on, and it's really where I began all of our coaching calls. Pretty much everybody is picking the direction. It's one of the major 3 steps in the analysis process. But with you, what I did is I introduced you to that new moving average tool that we have, and that has really transformed everything for you. Why don't you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I'm not a set it and forget it guy. Like, I like to not have to look at and trade every day, but I look at the market every day. Like it's not because I have to. Like, I want to look at the market every single day. Like, it's fun. You know what I mean? So manage it. Like, now that I have this system where I can just look at it visually and just quickly be able to determine, like before I had that, it was just like, well, do I stay in or do I not stay in? Do I put in a hard stop? Or this makes it clear cut for me. I can easily say, Khris, you need to get out. They cross down, and we'll get back in whenever they cross back up.
Yeah, and it really can be that simple. And that's the idea, is that we have a basic system that is easy to get in, easy to get out. And as I often say, if you can't execute a simple strategy, you'll never execute a complicated one.
Yeah.
And so we often talk about that. And let me ask you this. Before we started working together on this, you had several years experience. How many years have you been trading?
2010, if I'm not mistaken. So 14 years.
So you've been trading for 14 years before we started working together, and in 6 sessions. So we're halfway through. How much more confidence do you have now?
I'm ready to actually put big chunks of money on it now. And that was why I reached out to you, because I was not that confident. I knew I wanted to start trading larger accounts, but I didn't have the confidence to do it because of all of the mistakes and all of the losses that had been taken. Now it's just a matter of how I want to divide that account up, because I'm definitely doing that at this point after just 6 sessions.
Yeah, exactly. And, one of the things that we've spent so much time working on is simplifying your process, because over the last 14 years, you've gathered all this bundle of information. And I assure you, you are not alone in that. A lot of people that are listening right now, they have the same story. Maybe they've been in the market for 5 years, 10 years, 15, 20 years or longer. But over that time, you start taking in all these bits and pieces of information, and what ends up happening is you just have this amalgamation of data points, and sometimes the best way to get to the end result is to just start simplifying. So why don't you talk a little bit about what we've done to simplify?
Well, one thing that we've done to simplify is we've gone to these models where ETF rotation, and then the other rotation where it's just looking at the SPY or treasuries and using stocks and not heavily going into options at all with those. One, it's a lot more conservative. Two, using the tools that we've worked with in these sessions, it makes it really clear and easy to know when to get in and when to get out. And three, the risk is so much less than what I was doing with options. Now, I'm still an options guy, but I would just trade a lot smaller account with options and put most of the money into those more conservative rotational stock buying on the different ETFs and indices.
Exactly. And to bridge the gap a little bit for our listeners, what you're talking about is instead of trying to do everything so aggressively with options and ending up with all this volatility, we stabilized a huge portion of your portfolio by saying we're only going to follow this pattern right here. We're only going to follow these types of trades. And then that frees you up. And now you take a smaller portion to do your options and your aggressive stuff. But what ends up happening is the overall equity curve ends up going up much smoother and it just works out better. And so I'm really proud of you for doing that. Let's shift gears here just a little bit. You know, Khris, by most people's standards, coaching is not inexpensive. And yet, from our first session, you've told me what an incredible value it has been for you. Why don't you talk a little bit about the value of what you've received?
I think it's exponential value because I know that from what I've learned from you in the past, that the technical analysis is, and that's the type of trader that I am. I'm a technical trader. I do occasionally look at some fundamentals, but I don't really base a lot of my information on fundamentals. I learned technical. That's what I was introduced to. But even with that, there's still the live one-on-one looking at trades, looking at mindset, looking at how I'm thinking about conceptually getting in, getting out, setting stops. That coaching piece, so it's almost like the lab experiment to the textbook, if you will. And that piece that was the missing link for me, because now, like I just feel total confidence in going into trades and not second guessing what I've already learned, because I've gone through the real-time analysis and breakdown of what I'm thinking and why I'm thinking and making certain tweaks based on my trading psychology. So honestly, I can't really put a price tag on that. I even told you in the beginning, you didn't charge enough for the coaching session.
All right. I appreciate that. So if somebody were sitting here thinking, you know, I could just watch videos and learn this on my own, or I could just go to YouTube and learn this on my own, versus I could, you know, do a combination. I could watch Jeremy's videos, or I could watch the Trade Maestro videos, and I could do some coaching along with it. What would you tell that person who's kind of in that conundrum? Do I really want to spend that kind of money versus, you know, carve my own path?
Yep. Well, I was that person. I can't tell you how many trading videos, including yours, like especially yours, that I've watched, but just even on just topics of different strategies, like I've watched, like that's what I do every day. I watch these videos, and you know that I coach basketball, and I'll give an analogy. It's one thing to share a playbook with my players and tell them this is what we're trying to do, and this is the type of team that I think we're going to have, and these are the plays that we're going to run. But without actually getting on the floor, walking through those plays, the players, they don't understand why we do certain things or at what level we should do them. And it brings it all together when the coach is right there on the floor and say, you see that right there, what you just did? This is why this rule is in place. It's so that this doesn't happen. And that's what the coaching session has done. It's more than just knowledge. It's the application, application of the knowledge is wisdom. And so I feel like I'm a lot more wise with my trades now from the coaching sessions. I had all of this information, had all of these techniques, had all of these strategies, I had all of these notes that I had jotted down. But until you walk through with someone and they see holes that you may not have seen in your psychology, in your execution, in your analysis, that coaching pointed that out. And a video can't do that because you're not getting one-on-one feedback from a video.
Now, perhaps something you heard in that interview really resonated with you. Maybe you're thinking private coaching could be your next step as well. And the odds are it's probably true. If you're like a lot of people and you keep running into the same problems, you feel like your account keeps going up and going back down, or maybe you just feel like you keep running into a brick wall, the odds are private coaching is exactly what's next for you, which is why I'm excited to offer you my apprentice membership. This is unique. What it does is it combines my Inner Circle membership, where you get access to everything I offer, the on-demand courses, our Sunday night profit picks, live group coaching, as well as all of our accelerator courses. So you get all of that from the Inner Circle membership, plus you're gonna get twice monthly private coaching with me for the next 6 months. That's right. Just imagine what's it gonna be like 6 months from now when you've had me looking over your shoulder every month, looking at your trading behavior, looking at the patterns you've been running, and helping fine-tune your trading experience. I bet in 6 months, your interview could be even better than what you just listened to. So if you think you might be interested in some private coaching, maybe you're interested in becoming an apprentice, it doesn't hurt to fill out the application. Look, it costs you nothing. We can get on the phone, have a discovery call, and if it's right for you, I'll tell you. And if it's not right for you, I'll tell you that as well, okay? So what are you waiting for? Take your trading to the next level. Go ahead and click below, fill out the application to become an apprentice. Let's get on the phone and let's talk soon.